As you wander through the ancient, modeled ruins of the Roman Colosseum, have you ever seriously pondered, where did those conquerors, who forged the glorious civilization of a colossal empire, truly learn that stark, ruthless set of cosmic laws and divine systems? In the endless river of history, the general public has widely regarded ancient Rome as the mere inheritor of Greek civilization. Yet, behind the statue of the she-wolf nursing the twin founders of Rome, there hides an older, more mysterious, and far more spine-chilling ancient civilization. Long before the iron hooves of the Roman legions trampled the Mediterranean, the true, absolute overlords of the Apennine Peninsula were a cryptic people known as the Etruscans. They established a mind-shattering mythological system profound enough to make any explorer's soul tremble. There were absolutely no sun-drenched, physically beautiful divine revelries like those on Mount Olympus here. The Etruscan faith was like a bottomless altar of shadows, permeated by a suffocating fatalism. Blood, thunder, and abyssal demons wove together into a seamless, giant net, tightly constricting the throat of every living creature. Today, let us open those tattered scrolls buried by the yellow dust of history, stare directly into those chillingly cold cosmic laws, and uncover the terrifying pantheon that manipulated everything from the shadows. In the eyes of this ancient civilization, shrouded in heavy mist, the operation of the vast universe left absolutely no room for randomness or chance. The world was not a toy to be casually played with at the whims of the gods. The entire universe was inextricably locked by an absolute law known as destiny. The Etruscans firmly believed that even the supreme gods filling the heavens had to act within the trajectories drawn by this destiny. To pry into this deeply hidden and fatal cosmic code, they compiled an immensely heavy code of sacred discipline. This codex contained no heartwarming preachings on how to be good. It was purely a hardcore manual teaching mortals how to decipher higher dimensional directives from natural anomalies. The gods here possessed no compassion, much less the leisure to meddle in the romantic affairs of mortals. They manifested as cold, draconian, and indisputable physical entities of natural law. The priestly class descended into near madness during their divination rituals. They would use sharp bronze daggers to slice open the bellies of sacrificial animals, holding the warm entrails in their hands, staring dead at even the most microscopic undulating ridges on a liver. They would also stand on towering altars all night, gazing up at the lightning tearing through the dark sky, attempting to decipher the cold judgments handed down by the higher dimensional masters through the textures of blood and the trajectories of the thunderbolts. To live on this land was equivalent to living inside a relentless, ceaseless calculating machine of cause and effect, where every breath had to be accompanied by an extreme reverence for invisible destiny. The Etruscan worldview displayed a vertically oppressive, strictly hierarchical sense of space. The divine realm, suspended high above mortals, was forcibly carved into exactly 16 sectors by the priests using invisible lines of latitude and longitude. This absolutely symmetrical division directly represented the distribution of celestial power and the coordinates of fortune and disaster. The most exalted, most peaceful top-tier deities coiled in the true north of the firmament, the absolute center of cosmic order. The further south one looked, the more brutal, wild, and unpredictable the stationed gods became. The celestial realm was arranged like a colossal compass of judgment suspended over the heads of all living things. When a violent storm swept across the Apennine Peninsula, priests would hold their breath, staring intensely at the exact sector where the lightning struck. A thunderbolt from the northeast symbolized a mild warning and blessing from the high-tier gods. But if a deafening clap of thunder struck from the dark southern sectors, the entire city-state would be plunged into absolute panic. It signified that destruction and calamity were about to mercilessly sweep the earth, and the tyrannical fringe deities were venting their fury. The entire sky was virtually a holographic projection board broadcasting the emotions of the gods in real time. Mortals could only guess which interstellar master was looking down upon them from above the clouds by identifying the source of the lightning. The mortal world, crushed tightly beneath the firmament, was saturated with complex runes and omens of death, acting as a massive experimental proving ground constantly receiving higher dimensional tests. When the Etruscans built cities or cultivated farmlands, they had to obey extremely rigorous spatial planning, perfectly replicating the 16 celestial sectors from above. In their eyes, every foundation stone on the ground, every crisscrossing street, had to align with absolute precision to the coordinates of the starry sky to even barely absorb and withstand the energy projected by the higher dimensional gods. When establishing a new city-state, priests would excavate a profound pit at the absolute center of the city, treating it as a physical conduit connecting the mortal realm to the underworld. On specific days every year, the massive stone covering the pit would be removed, allowing the dark energies of the subterranean dead to briefly mingle with the vital energies of the living world. A mortal's entire life was spent in endless fear and awe. Even the flight path of a passing bird or the frequency of a thunderclap was treated as a highly encrypted telegram sent by the heavens. Here, there was no feverish pursuit of individual striving, only absolute obedience to natural omens. The entire mortal world was nothing more than a humble reflection in the mud of the celestial map of power. Hidden in the deepest recesses of this causal machine was a terrifying power that made even the gods themselves tremble. Within Etruscan mythology existed a group of ancient entities respectfully known as the hidden gods. They had no specific names, no forms that could be carved or painted, and completely lacked emotional fluctuations like joy, anger, sorrow, or happiness. They represented the oldest, most fundamental laws of causality and destiny from the very dawn of the universe, serving as the ultimate source transcending all personified deities. In the deep logic of this mythos, these hidden gods were like invisible cosmic black holes. They concealed themselves at the highest peak of all dimensions, coldly observing the shifting powers of heaven and the changing tides of the mortal realm. Even the supreme god ruling the heavens, before issuing a major directive capable of altering the course of the universe, had to bow his head and request permission from this void-like power. This despairing premise, where even the deities seated upon high thrones did not know exactly who was manipulating everything from behind the curtain, endowed the entire mythological system with the horrifying undertone of a dimensional strike. The existence of the hidden gods utterly shattered the illusion of divine omniscience and omnipotence, proving that deep within the vast sea of stars, an even more unfathomable, absolute master forever lurked. Standing in the light to govern the celestial realm were three supreme gods who would later directly inspire the core of Roman power. Seated upon the highest celestial throne was Tinia, the master of the mighty thunderbolts. This supreme god held three types of terrifying lightning, each with a different level of power. He could hurl the first type of lightning at his own whim, using it to warn mortals who had strayed from the correct path. When he wished to utilize the second type of lightning, which brought substantial destruction, he had to convene the higher dimensional celestial council and obtain the unanimous consent of the 11 other counselor gods. But if he attempted to unleash the third and ultimate lightning strike, capable of altering landscapes and utterly annihilating city-states, even the counselor gods had no right to decide. Tinia had to offer a plea to those terrifying hidden gods, and only after receiving absolute permission could he bring down a world-ending catastrophe. This parliamentary style of lightning distribution revealed the mutual checks and balances and the extreme severity of celestial power. Seated beside Tinia was the revered queen of the gods, Uni, who used her vast divine power to protect the mortal city-states. She was the ultimate incarnation of urban defense systems. Minerva, the goddess of wisdom and war who burst forth from Tinia's head, used her sharp, cold gaze to scrutinize the warfare and intellectual evolution of the mortal realm. These three deities formed an indestructible iron triangle of power. They flawlessly merged the violent forces of nature with cold strategic calculation, manipulating the rise and fall of mortal city-states from on high, and planting the primordial seeds of divine right for the colossal Roman Empire that would follow. Though the order of the living realm was severe, the most spine-chilling chapter of this mythology lay buried deep in the underworld after death. The Etruscans possessed an almost pathologically meticulous depiction of the subterranean kingdom of the dead. Death merely brought the release of the physical shell, after which the soul embarked on a long, dark journey full of the unknown. A dedicated guide of souls would light a faint torch in the mist, leading the way and bringing the bewildered spirit into a bottomless abyss known as Ida. This gloomy territory was jointly ruled by the lord of the underworld, Ida, who wore a ferocious wolfskin cap, and the stern, cold queen of the underworld, Vanth. In that sunless, gray zone, a lavish underworld banquet was eternally laid out. This feast was absolutely not for merrymaking. It was permeated by a suffocating, eerie atmosphere. Hideous demons mingled among the attending souls, staring coldly at these newcomers as if they were lambs to the slaughter. The dead retained the class and honors they held in life, yet they were forever trapped in this sunless gray cage, participating day after day in an endless banquet of death, enduring the dead silence and freezing cold of the abyssal depths. The demons in the Etruscan underworld completely shattered the aesthetic baseline of classical mythology, and the sheer horror of their imagery directly influenced the dark bestiaries of the Middle Ages for centuries. Charon, the executioner of death who wielded a massive iron hammer, possessed eerie blue skin, akin to the putrefying lividity of a corpse left out for days. He had large wings and a sharp, protruding hooked beak, his eyes flashing with a fanatical glint for the extinguishing of life. Charon's job was nowhere near as tender as merely ferrying souls across a river. Whenever someone fell heavily wounded on the battlefield, or a mortal on their sickbed breathed their last, Charon would swing his impossibly heavy hammer, descend from the sky, and brutally smash the dying person's skull. He used this violently bloody method to confirm the absolute cessation of vital signs, severing the very last connection between soul and flesh before forcibly dragging the trembling spirit away with iron chains. Charon was like an emotionless harvester of life, representing the purest violence and irresistible physical destruction at the exact moment death descends, casting an unshakable shadow over the ancient Apennine Peninsula. At the very bottom of purgatory, in a realm even darker and more profound than Charon's territory, coiled a terrifying abomination named Tucholcha. Its appearance was enough to cause any soul newly arrived in the underworld to instantly suffer a mental breakdown. This monster had the robust torso of a human, yet perched upon its neck was the massive head of a vulture exhaling the stench of rot. Countless highly venomous, living snakes writhed upon its head acting as hair, and flanked on either side of its head were a pair of massive donkey ears. Tucholcha prowled the depths of the underworld day and night, solely responsible for using endlessly cruel methods to torture the prisoners burdened by sin. Its sharp beak and serpent hair tore the souls of the damned to pieces, over and over again. Above the territory ravaged by Tucholcha, winged female spirits known as the Lhasa fluttered in the sky. They were not angels bringing good tidings, but cold, emotionless scribes of judgment. The Lhasa tightly clutched long scrolls in their hands, their eyes acting like scanners capable of piercing the soul, meticulously recording every merit and sin a mortal committed in life. They apathetically surveyed the judgment process of the dead, writing down the final verdict in their ledgers. Like absolutely neutral, ruthless clerks at the side of death, they nailed the judgments of fate firmly onto the iron pillars of the netherworld. Such a brilliant civilization, overflowing with the oppressive might of gods and the roars of demons, had a countdown detonation sequence planted deep within its underlying code from the very beginning. In the Etruscan mythological system, there existed an end of an era premise that plunged all its people into ultimate despair. The higher dimensional laws explicitly declared that the shelf life of every nation on this planet had long been precisely quantified, divided into specific epochs, secula. Through cryptic lightning prophecies, the gods handed down an irrevocable death sentence. The total lifespan of the Etruscan civilization was merely 10 epochs. Once the final drop of sand in the hourglass ran out, no matter how magnificent the altars they built, how rich the blood sacrifices they offered, or how profound the astrological divinations they mastered, this nation would be entirely swallowed by the violent torrent of history and thoroughly erased from this three-dimensional world. This sense of fatalism, watching the doomsday countdown tick away, knowing full well that all efforts were utterly in vain, forced the entire Etruscan civilization into a state of despairing elegance and an extreme paranoia regarding sacrificial rituals. When the Romans from the banks of the Tiber River wielded their swords, their iron hooves mercilessly crushing the ancient Etruscan city-states, the prophecy of the 10-epoch lifespan was flawlessly fulfilled. Those blue-skinned demons wielding great hammers, the Counselor Council controlling the lightning, and the nameless masters whom even the gods feared, were all buried beneath the endless yellow dust of the Apennine Peninsula. Yet, this cold, rigorous shadow law, dripping with infinite fatalism, had already acted like a silent venom, seeping deeply into the very marrow of the conquering Roman Empire. It transformed into the hidden core driving the operation of another colossal war machine, continuing to flow silently and ruthlessly through the dark, subterranean river of time.